Hi, it's me. You can call me BP, and welcome back to my channel.
BP's back!
Today, we light the San Antonio Spurs prayer candle in honor of a good season finale. I said what I said. I said what I said. Okay, we're gonna put this back here, right by Bear Buckley. I don't know what happened in the 911 universe to cause the tail end of 8B to be the way that it was. But something happened and it turned to shit. Because this was honestly my least favorite finale that we've ever had. And I say that from my memory. I could be wrong. There could be worse ones. We'll get into the recap, then we'll talk about my thoughts because I, like always, have a lot of them. So we open on the backstory of the tenants in the apartment, the woman and her mom, and then Cart Cop and Laundry Guy. And Cart Cop and Laundry Guy are in a fight, and Laundry Guy ends up slamming the laundry door shut and it sparks, and that's what causes the explosion. And that's kind of what we see. And then we shift into the 118 where Eddie has his going away party because Eddie's going back to Texas to go be a firefighter in El Paso. Because sure, of course he is. Christopher's also at the fire station because Eddie said that Chris wanted to visit before they left, and it was really sweet. And Christopher's so big, it's kind of crazy. I can't believe he's a teenager now. Like, I get it, but like still. And they give him a going away present of his turnouts, and Hen says that they normally give them to you when you retire, but Gerard said it was okay. And Eddie's like, oh, well, how did you convince Gerard to do that? And they said, oh, it's actually Gerard's last day because Hot Shots got picked up for another season, so he's going back to Hot Shots. Then they talk about how there's finally going to be a decent captain at the 118 again, and Hen is kind of like, yeah, we'll see, because it's not going to be me. Hen lets the team know that she turned down the captain position, and Buck is like, yeah, you got to do what's best for you. And Eddie gives him this weird look. Eddie's so weird about Buck in this scene. Buck then drops the bomb that he put in for a transfer because the 118 is just a number. It doesn't really matter what fire station he's at anymore. And Eddie's face is ridiculous, and they're all just kind of like, okay, I'm not sure about that, but sure, whatever. Then back at the high-rise, I almost said fire. Nope, that's not a fire, it's a collapse. Athena jumps in and helps with kind of like the evacuation of people who are all okay. And then she goes into the basement and she finds Cart Cop and Laundry Guy, and they are trapped in kind of like the rubble of this. And we find out Laundry Guy has been like impaled through the shoulder, and he's also trapped under a bunch of stuff. But Graham, Cart Cop, is like, okay. Cart Cop is like really close next to him. And so Cart Cop is able to like reach out and like put his hand on the like open wound that Laundry Guy has to stop the bleeding and like put pressure on it. But Cart Cop is also like kind of pinned, but he's like doing okay. He's just kind of like trapped in this little thing. He's like, no, I'm fine. I can move all my fingers, but like I just can't like move. Athena is talking with Laundry Guy's girlfriend, and she basically tells her like, hey, I need you to go out to the street, find someone, tell them Sergeant Athena Grant told you to go get help. So she sends her on a mission with like her name in the background, in her mind. And as she does this, the 118 rolls up with other fire stations, and Gerard kind of starts sending people out on assignments, and he refers to Buck and Ravi as the pretty boys. He goes, pretty boys, go do whatever. Which honestly, you're so for real for that, Gerard. Yeah. Look at them. Look at them. Of course I would call them that too. We get a lot of footage of different rescues. There's one that's really like kind of nasty with like a big like skin balloon flap thing. Ugh, yucky. If you were wondering why that woman looks familiar, she's the mom on Switched at Birth. Because I was wondering. Laundry Guy's girlfriend goes back up to the street, and she is trying to find someone, and she runs into Chimney and like relays the information to Chimney of like, my boyfriend's trapped, we need a paramedic, Sergeant Athena Grant sent me. And Chimney is like, I'll go. And Hen is like, are you sure you don't want me to go? And Chimney's like, no, I got it. So Chimney goes down into the basement laundry room and is there to help Athena and Cart Cop and Laundry Guy. Over at dispatch, Maddie gets, actually, it was Linda. Linda gets a call and she like calls in Maddie for help, or some guy calls in and he's trapped under the rubble. They track all of his information down and then they send a message to the firefighters at the scene and they're like, hey, there's a guy trapped in apartment 612, go find him. So the pretty boys go up to find this guy. His name is Flint. So Buck and Ravi, or as Buck likes to call him, Rav, which I think is so cute. I love them. They go and they are able to find Flint and they have to like rappel down into his apartment because his apartment collapsed. They said 912 is now 712. And as they do that, they find out that Flint is trapped underneath a wardrobe and they like open the wardrobe and Buck throws like a Narnia joke in there, which is really funny. Tangent conversation. It took me until I was like well into adulthood to watch. Now granted, I only saw The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe like twice. I watched it and I said, wait a second. This is an allegory for Jesus, right? This is like a thinly veiled Christian whatever. And my mom was like, yeah, you just now picked up on this. And I was like, well, yeah. You know what else is a thinly veiled allegory for Jesus Christ? Bobby Nash. I'm still gonna die on that hill. As Buck and Ravi are saving Flint, there is a second explosion that goes off because there's a bunch of like gas pockets in the building because of the water and I don't know the physics behind it. I'm just here, I just watch it. And as this second explosion happens, you see Buck and Ravi kind of get trapped in the apartment where they were saving Flint, and Athena and Chim get their entrance blocked off. Their entrance exit, there was only one blocked off, and they're like, oh man, shoot, what are we gonna do? We see Eddie at the house packing up to leave and he's sitting there with Tia Peppa and she's basically like bitching and moaning about how everyone's leaving her to go to Texas, which like honestly, she's so real for that. As Eddie and Tia Peppa are talking, Christopher's in the living room and he like calls out, he's like, oh my gosh, Dad, look. And they pan over to the TV, the giant TV that Buck has. There's a news story running about the explosion. And the news like casts her on TV. It's like, there's already several LA fire companies here with hopefully more on the way. And then you see like Eddie's wheels turning.
Help is on the way, dear!
This is Doubtfire!
Help is on the way!
Then we go back to the scene of the explosion. We check in on the laundry room situation with Laundry Guy and Cart Cop, and Chim is trying to like work on Laundry Guy. As they are in the laundry room after the second explosion, Laundry Guy starts to take a turn for the worse and his heart stops and they're able to like do some shock thing to get him back. My friend who is a medical professional hated this scene because apparently it like was impossible. I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just here for fun. We check in with Buck and Ravi and the man that they rescued, Flint, and they are trying to find an exit, a way out of the building, and there's like really not a place for them to go. As Buck and Ravi are talking with Captain Gerard, trying to find a way out of the building, of the, like the secondary collapse or explosion, whatever, Eddie Diaz shows up and the music swells and it's this like big beautiful moment. I think they should have put like the Avengers music in the background. I think that would have been hilarious. Gerard is like, okay, well, you can like help by like starting to clear all this rubble so we can get like a ladder truck in here. And Eddie is like, no, I have a better idea. He's basically over there like, if Bobby taught me anything, it's that we always have a choice to do something different or something, some whatever. They need to make like little like jelly bracelets that says WWBND. What would Bobby Nash do? So Buck and Ravi are still up in the building and they get a walkie from Eddie being like, hey, I'm actually on the parking garage directly across from you. Get down, I got a gun, or a line gun. And Flint is like, he's got a gun? Buck and Ravi are like, no, it's a line gun, get down. So Eddie shoots this like line gun across the way and they're able to tie it and they basically like zip line Flint to safety. As they're putting the harness on Flint, Flint is like, are you serious? And Ravi's like, would it be better if we were joking? And Flint's like, no. Then they push Flint to safety through the zip line, and then there starts to be some more rumbling, and they're like, all right, we gotta go. Ravi zip lines to safety, and then Buck is like, by the skin of his teeth, escapes the third explosion. This shot is so dramatic. I'm so sorry. It's ridiculous. And as he does this, he kind of like goes into safety, and we'll talk more about this scene later, but then Ravi engulfs Eddie in this big hug, and everyone's safe, everyone's sound. It's funny because in this scene, and when Eddie kind of talks with Ravi and Buck about like his decision to do whatever, he was like, oh, I just thought that like, what would Bobby be yelling at Buck to do, or something like that. So instead of WWBND, it's WWEBD. What would Evan Buckley do? Hen then panics because she can't get a hold of Chimney, and she takes a crew and starts to go find him, and they are unable to like break through the cement to get to the laundry room, and they're like, we need more people. And as that, of course, right as she says that, then Buck and Ravi and Eddie show up, and Hen is like, oh my god, and it's really sweet. And they go, and they're able to reach Chimney and Athena and Cart and Laundry Guy and kind of work there. They are able to get Laundry Guy free. They load him up on an ambulance. They get him out of there, and they're like, all right, Graham, Cart Cop, we are here to work on you. They get Cart Cop free, but then they notice that this whole entire time he's been pulling a chimney in his abdomen, and by that I mean he's been impaled by rebar.
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled.
They like ask him like, well, like why didn't you say anything? And Graham was just kind of like, oh, I knew like I wasn't gonna make it, and it was the right thing to do to save Laundry Guy. And Chimney is like, okay, well, like not today, we're gonna save you today. And they work really hard, and it's like this really like sweet scene, and Graham doesn't look like he's gonna make it, and he doesn't make it a little bit, but then they bring him back and it's all good. So then they take Graham out of the building, they get him loaded up on an ambulance, and we get a really sweet moment with Athena and Chimney. And because of kind of what Graham did, Athena kind of was able to see like Bobby's point of view, if that makes sense, of like Graham was like, it was the right thing to do, I wanted to help even though I knew I couldn't save myself. Mirror Bobby and Chimney in a way. And Athena says like some really sweet words to Chimney, because she's like, oh, like Bobby always like hated that about you, that you never gave yourself credit, but Bobby would be really proud of you. You're like a really great leader, and you're a really good paramedic. And they share this really sweet hug, and I'm glad that they have somewhat mended their relationship. The 118 then makes it back to the station, and Gerard gives kind of like a sweet speech because it's his last day. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, yay, Gerard's leaving. And then they start to like throw their turnouts in the laundry and start to like go their own ways. Eddie's like pulling up his phone to like find like another flight because he clearly missed his last one because he was helping. And Chimney gives a very sweet speech, which I will insert here. Some of my favorite bits from this speech was how Chimney was talking about like, it's okay to be sad, but it's like not okay to be sad alone. You know, we need to be there for each other. We're Bobby's legacy. We can't just like all up and leave. You're not transferring. You're not staying in Texas. You're coming back. And then he says like, Bobby died so I could live.
My God's not dead, he's surely alive.
You know who else died so we could live? Anyway, Chimney is like, we're his legacy. Go home, get some rest. I'll see you back here for our next shift. And like Hen with like a single tear running down her cheek is like, yes, Chim. Foreshadowing much? We will see, we will see, we will see. Then we get the weird ending scene, and we see Athena walking through like this kind of like stark white hallway. And I thought to myself, government lab? Bobby's still alive? No. But then we see Athena talking to a real estate agent because apparently she's selling the house. Okay. Then we see Buck talking with a real estate agent because he's moving out of the house, because he's moving out of the house because Eddie's back. And the day that they moved back, Christopher's like, oh yeah, my friend's throwing a party, can I go? And Eddie's like, yeah, of course, takes Christopher to a party. Then we see the Wilson family finally adopt Mara, make it all legal. That's really exciting. We get this shot, which is like very similar to the shot from the season 7 finale, which is crazy. Maddie has had her baby. We finally get to meet the baby. They pass the baby to Athena, and Chimney is like, meet Robert Nash Hahn. And then Athena kind of looks at the baby and goes, hi, Bobby. And then the episode ends. Whenever I think about episodes and how I thought about them, I always use the people in my life who watch the show, but like not to the extent that I watch the show. Like they're normal viewers of the show, unlike me, because I'm a little... And I use them as a temperature check of like, what do you think about this episode? Because I have my feelings, but my feelings are a lot. What are yours? And the people who just casually watch the show that I know, they also didn't like this episode. So that made me feel better. But I think, myself included, also them, the consensus is basically like, this as an episode was fine. This as a season finale was dumb. Just, it felt weird. It felt weird. The ending felt a lot. The ending felt rushed, and it just kind of was like, all right, we're just gonna wrap up all of these storylines and move on with it. Like it's kind of felt like a series finale of like, or like a finale that they like didn't know if they were gonna be renewed or not. So like, we'll wrap up all the storylines in case we're not coming back. You know, we have had episodes in the past, like the season 6 finale that was like the bridge collapse. That was very much emergency focused plus some other storylines, but season 8 was basically just pretty much all emergency with like a little bit of personal stuff. And there was so much personal stuff so quickly, but it was a lot of personal stuff that didn't make sense, right? Like quite literally in 8/17 Don't Drink the Water, Athena told May and Harry that she wasn't going to sell the house. And then in this one, she is. So like, what's the truth? What are we doing there? Like that felt very strange that they wanted Athena to sell the house, and maybe she's not gonna sell the house and she'll come to and like pull it off the market or something, but it just was so strange that like quite literally the week before she said she wasn't gonna sell it. Then we have Buck moving out. That was weird. I thought that was so weird. Also the fact that like Eddie just like, I think with the whole Eddie and Christopher dynamic, I have a lot of thoughts about that. And listen, I fully recognize that they can't show us everything on screen. I get it. I fully get it. But like, we should have seen something, right? Buck and Eddie barely spoke in this episode. Like literally, maybe they had that conversation on the walkie and that was it. And the fact that like, there's a lot of plot holes in my opinion about Eddie and his El Paso storyline. He bought a fucking house in Texas. He bought that house. Like, he wasn't renting it. He bought it. And then he was like working on fixing it up and then just like turned around and came back. Just abandoned it. I will talk a lot more about Eddie and Christopher at a later date. I don't need to get into all my thoughts right now. The whole reason that Christopher left is because of Eddie's affair. And they just never spoke about it. Never did. It just kind of seems like very much like, okay, well now they're good. It's like, what? Are they? Why are they? Time can heal all wounds, but like you also should probably talk about why the wound was there in the first place, right? Also, Christopher being invited to a party the first day back from LA was hilarious, and I love that for him. Mara finally being adopted by the Wilsons was a very sweet scene, something that we kind of knew was coming for a while, and I do love their family unit, and I think it's very sweet. I would be interested to know if they're going to go down like another foster route or if they finally feel like their family is complete with the 4 of them. I don't know, should be interesting to look at there. Then with Maddie and the baby, I know people, the fandom, are very confused about how long Maddie was pregnant because they were like, the timeline on her pregnancy doesn't make a lot of sense, and I haven't thought a lot about it, so I can't really comment on that at the moment. But the amount of people in that room was crazy. Like, Ravi was there. I'm sorry, why is Ravi there? Maddie doesn't even really know Ravi. And also May and Harry being there without Athena. Like, May and Harry were there before Athena showed up, which was funky. So is that baby's name, first name Robert, middle name Nash, last name Hahn? And isn't Gian's name, first name Gian, first last name Buckley, last name Hahn? Second last name Hahn? Question mark. I thought Gian's last name was Buckley Hahn. Is it not? And are they going to call the baby Robert? Are they going to call him Bobby? Are they going to call him Rob? What are they going to... Is his middle name Nash? And also what's funny is like, they also have Kevin they could have named the baby after. They also had Daniel they could have named the baby after. Surprising that they didn't include either one of those. I thought it would have been like Kevin Robert or like Robert Kevin. I think that would have been sweet. Also, how does Gian feel about having a brother? Because she thought she was going to have a sister. I know Gian was pissed that Peppa Pig got a baby sister and she didn't. I know that girl was mad. Even though she looked at the baby, oh, this screen grab is so cute. She is so precious. I can't. She's so cute. I love them. I think they are the sweetest little girls ever. Gian is played by twins, if you didn't know that. Their names are Bailey and Haley. Love that for them. But yeah, I thought the name was sweet. I just thought it was kind of a lot, if that makes sense. Okay, talking about other things, I'm gonna draw your attention to Buck's mantle of this black and white picture that he has of him and Bobby, which I think is really sweet. And then this very large picture he has of Gian, which I also thought was really cute. I can't really identify this picture. I don't know what that one is. If you can recognize it, let me know in the comments. Then the song that they were playing in the ending montage, it was, listen, like I said in videos prior, I fully recognize that being a Swiftie has rotted my brain and not everything is a sign and not everything like has a deeper hidden meaning. Fully understand that. I'm still gonna choose, however, to be a clown about things because I think it's fun. The song that they played, the chorus of it is, "This is not the end of the story." This tragedy is not the end of the story, which is crazy because I was listening to that live and I thought to myself, she's holding the baby. I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you. As she was holding the baby and she said, "Hello, Bobby," I thought the next shot was going to be a government lab and Bobby Nash's eyes popping open. And you know, because listen, in my very humble personal opinion, they didn't give us a lot to look forward to in season 9. I'll say it. I will say it. And what are we looking forward to? The new captain? Where Buck's gonna live? Where Athena's gonna live? But no one really gives a shit about those two things. It's literally just the captain. And I think they opened the door for Captain Han, but also I thought that they did like a good job of like highlighting Eddie as like a potential captain aspect. I definitely think it'll be interesting to see who they pick as captain of the 118, if it's gonna be Chimney or if it'll be Eddie, or maybe they'll pull Lone Star and they'll have Chimney be paramedic captain and Eddie be fire captain. That's literally the only thing we're looking forward to in season 9. And Buddie canon, because let's be honest here, people, we fully got queer baited. We got baited. We got hook, line, sinker baited because of all of the promo that they did. Unless, listen, you know me, I will stay on this ship until it is fully submerged underwater. I am clinging to the ship with dear life. I will never leave. And unless they're gonna make it canon in season 9, this past like this promo that they did before the finale, mean. It was absolutely mean. They could be doing it as an angle of like, okay, well, we need to like let the general public know that like Buddie is a thing. There are other people who like Buddie. We're gonna make Buddie a thing. Because I knew a lot of people thought Buddie was going canon in the finale. But they didn't even really talk. I want to talk about the rescue scene and kind of analyze it a little bit more because I like to do it. Look at Buck's face when he realizes Eddie's on the radio. Look at Robbie's face. Oh, they love each other. But look at Buck. Oh my god. Look at him. Then the hero goes Buck and makes him look very Mission Impossible. This arm, it's giving superhero. I hate to say it. He looks so cool. Also, where's Eddie's helmet? Sir, where is your helmet? I know, no, where is your helmet? Him watching Buck fly across. Then they catch Buck. Look at Eddie's face. He's staring at Buck. Still staring at Buck. And they are holding eye contact so deep that Eddie doesn't even notice that Robbie's coming up to hug him. And then this look from Buck. Oh my God. And then I didn't catch this when I watched this live. And Buck's still, well, first of all, Buck's still staring at him. And then this line. What kind of crazy stunt would he be yelling at Buck for pulling? No, I know a lot of people thought the fist bump was super platonic and that, but I don't. Yeah, the like intense eye contact through it all was crazy. I'm sad we don't get roommates era. Maybe we get Athena and Buck roommates era, but I don't think so. I think overall, like I said earlier, I thought this as an episode was fine, but this as a season finale was just kind of like lackluster and plain and felt very rushed, kind of like throwing everything back at us. I don't know, this back half, the last fourth of the season was just, it was a lot, but like not in a good way. You know, I have seen Angela Bassett kind of talk about how maybe she thinks Bobby could be alive. I just am like worried about where they're going from here, because I know a lot of people like weren't happy with this with 8/18, even though 8/17 was really good, and people were like, okay, where did that go? I also have a lot of thoughts about them being backed into a corner about Buddie, because I really do think that they backed themselves into a corner and there's no way to go but canon. I'll say it and I'll take the heat, even though there's no heat to be taken, because that's not a hot take at all. And it does seem like from like ABC's showrunner, the corporate executive side of this, that season 9 isn't going to be the last one. And so unless they're playing long game, which they could be, like I said, I want to be calling Tim Minear an evil genius, but right now he's just evil. Unless he is playing long game of like, no, I'm going to make it very apparent that these two have feelings for each other, and then it'll happen, but we have to let the audience warm up to it first, because I've always thought that. We'll talk more about that later in another video, because this one's going to be super long already. It was fine. Seismic shit. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. It was a seismic shit. There's no shifting. Nothing shifted. Shit's the same. Shit's literally the same. Like, if Buck was still living with Eddie, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Maybe Buck's gonna move back in with Eddie because he can't find a place. I don't know. What do you guys think? I know you all have a lot of opinions, and I love reading all of your thoughts and opinions. I may not heart every single comment, but I do read all of them, and I do think you guys have a lot of really interesting, very thoughtful takes. I love reading them, so please make sure to leave them down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will come back and we will kind of talk about what the future of this channel looks like over the next couple months, so that'll be really exciting. Bobby Nash is still dead and Buddie is not canon, but who knows what the future will hold. Not me. I don't know. I'll manifest it. We'll manifest it with the San Antonio Spurs prayer candle. I will see you in my next one.